Well, hello and welcome to Ringside Toe to Toe Extra. I'm Andy Scott and I'm joined by a plethora of guests. Don't usually use that word. Big words on this show don't usually go hand in hand with me. I've got Gary Logan, got Kody Mommaerts, Big Mo, our ring announcer, and former UFC contender Dan Hardy. Welcome back, everybody. How are you all?
All good, mate.
Ready.
All good.
Great.
Let's go to the big event of the weekend. So it is Tyson Fury taking on Francis Ngannou in this crossover matchup. Dan, we've worked with you extensively on these crossover type events before, and I think the reason we've had you back is because you can give that unique insight into, one, what a boxer has to do, but more what a crossover athlete coming into boxing has to do. So Francis Ngannou, no amateur or professional boxing background, but someone that's in the elite bracket of striking in UFC heavyweight history, you would say.
Yeah.
So if I said to you quite simply, what has Francis Ngannou got to do to beat Tyson Fury? Not the easiest of starting questions.
No.
I understand that in the relative terms, but what would you say he has to do to beat Tyson Fury?
Well, I mean, the big thing is dealing with the lead hand of Tyson. You know, his footwork is going to be a key, but I also feel like Ngannou is going to be able to bully him into corners and up against the ropes a little bit, especially if he can get around that jab. If you can get around the jab, start working to the body and hustling him in the clinch, you know, put your head on his chest and make him feel uncomfortable. Come over the top, make it scrappy. Like, the thing is, Ngannou's never boxed before, so he has the element of surprise on his side. And I think the more he tries to be a boxer against someone like Tyson Fury, who is elite, he's going to look like a novice. I think if he looks like a fighter, like an MMA fighter, and he can be a little bit wild and a bit reckless sometimes, that's when those punches land. Because the punch that hurts Tyson is not going to be something that's been trained in a boxing gym that he sees coming. It's going to be something that's wild and unpredictable that is there to take his head off.
Do you think he will even box out of a traditional boxing stance? I know him and Mike Tyson have been working behind the scenes, but I almost wonder if he'll even shape up like that. You know, what would be like the traditional on guard position in the UFC in mixed martial arts? Would it be to have a higher guard? I mean, I don't even know. Like,
No.
Yeah, I mean, it depends really on your style.
You didn't,
you know?
like, if you were boxing, would you box out of a high guard?
I would have a tighter boxing stance, but I started with Muay Thai. So Muay Thai as a high guard because we're blocking kicks, we're blocking shins. Ngannou stands with his hands in kind of a traditional boxing stance, but his elbows are very wide. I think partly down to the way that he's built muscular-wise. It does concern me about his midsection, but then, you know, it must be like hitting a concrete wall. The guy's built out of rocks.
And that I do think some of these social media posts are plants, and I have seen there's a guy just absolutely whacking Ngannou to the midsection.
Have you seen the one where he's drinking the coffee while someo's doing it?
Yeah, I mean,
he's drinking the coffee and someone's whacking.
Poor guy's hands is what I'm saying. I don't. Yes, it could empty that gas tank. In the full podcast that's available to download, we talk about the Ngannou gas tank, and yes, when you get hit to the body, it is going to take something out. But I mean, he's got an amazing midsection. I mean, think of like a Roman statue of what an Adonis would be. They've chiseled Francis Ngannou, basically, haven't they? I mean, his midsection is incredible. What about distance in terms of duration? Is Tyson Fury, if he's going to face the most explosive Francis Ngannou, it's going to be early in that fight. How dangerous is Ngannou in those first 6 minutes?
I mean, I think that's when Tyson certainly is going to be expecting to be most dangerous. You know, and I think it would be smart for Ngannou to start a little slower. You know, like work to the body a bit more and try and bring his hands down, and maybe give Tyson the impression that he's going to be in for a longer night than he anticipated. If he comes out guns blazing, he's going to give 3 or 6 minutes to Tyson to research him, download his movement patterns, figure him out, and see where the holes in his game are. And also, if he starts hell for leather, he's going to get tired a lot quicker. And I can just imagine Tyson's just going to wrap him up and lean on him and be sticking his tongue out at the cameras and all that kind of stuff. He's going to play the game very well for the opening rounds. And the question is whether Ngannou's going to A, show too much of his game, and B, give too much of his gas tank in those early rounds before Tyson opens up.
I think, I'm not going to impart my opinion on this at all, but I'm interested with yours. I wonder if we will see Tyson Fury, the ultimate entertainer, perhaps take on a little bit of Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope tactics to let at least Francis Ngannou throw some shots like he did famously against George Foreman. If you've got a big punching man like that, I wonder if Tyson Fury's ego will want to show everybody, I can take these sort of shots. There's your UFC hardest punching man in history in the Guinness Book of Records for how hard he punches. I'm going to lay back and let you see that I can't be hurt.
Well, people thought Ali was suicidal to do it.
Yeah.
And Fury's got that mentality, hasn't he? It wouldn't surprise me at all if he did it.
It's going to be the most watched event probably this year.
Yeah.
I think Tyson Fury will want to show a little bit of what Tyson Fury is all about, regardless of the fight and the result. I think Tyson Fury will want to show what he is in terms of Mr. Entertainment.
Just make sure one of those shots don't land, though. That's it.
Did you see his suit at the press conference? Yeah. I mean, that's a man that comes to entertain. It was covered in his own face.
He's no shrinking on the ball.
This might shock you. He's no shrinking violet.
He's not. That's why he's not retired. That's simply why he's not retired, because this game gives him gravitas. It gives him attention. He's narcissistic and at the same time very loving. He's got so many characters rolled into one, and Ali was a perfect example of that. Very narcissistic, but at the same time, he was easy to love. Then there'd be a fair amount of people that easily hated him as well. So, but it will be entertaining. I could see him actually doing that. But I wouldn't play around with the unpredictability of what Ngannou brings to the table.
Funny enough,
I wouldn't play around with that.
Just said it like that. I just got a little bit of the woolies up me there.
Seriously, I wouldn't play around because as much as I want to waylay and go against his boxing ability, the power is real. And Mike Tyson being involved and the training team being involved in what he has to go up against, they simply can't have him standing there in standing tall or standing right in front of Fury.
You're giving yourself no chance.
At the same time, he can't get hit. You know what I mean? It's just such a tough one because at the same time, getting close means going into punches, going into punching range. Only Usyk's jab Usyk's jab on the world level is the equal of Fury's jab. And so that in itself is a challenge.
Where would this rate Kody? So let's just say the unthinkable.
Yep.
Mission Impossible happens. Do you think that this would rank as one of the greatest sporting upsets ever?
Absolutely. I absolutely it does. I think we've made so many comparisons to McGregor Mayweather in this. I think it's an even bigger disparity in terms of ability. McGregor, when he came over, was one of the best technical strikers in the UFC. He was skilled in capoeira, he was skilled in kickboxing, he was skilled in martial arts, he was a former boxer himself. It was a lot more interesting of a matchup. Francis, while he has a ton of power, in terms of technical ability of striking, he was nowhere near that of McGregor. Where I'm also curious of this is...
But I gave McGregor zero chance against Mayweather. I like zero.
Well, then it's negative chance for Francis in this one, absolutely. But there is an equalizing factor. And that is the sheer power of Francis.
Yeah, that's
what I'm curious of is we saw that the training that McGregor did for Mayweather, in my opinion, negatively affected him in his MMA career after, because he changed his stance. He had that wide capoeira karate stance that he now shrunk into boxing. He then carried that boxing stance into the fight against Dustin Poirier, which really affected him defending against calf kicks and shin kicks and all that type of stuff. Francis is going to go back to MMA. And I wonder if he saw the effects that had on McGregor, and I wonder how much he's going to want to change his stance. He can't do the MMA stance against a boxer. That technically is not going to work. So, like I said, there's a lot of variables that are going to come into play here. But I agree to your point. This would be one of the biggest upsets in history. I'm curious of. If Francis wins, does he rank number one? Is he the best 1-0 boxer in the history of mankind?
This might not shock you. I'm going to push that back into next week.
I don't know.
Let's deal with that when it happens.
I don't even want to watch.
I don't even want to guess what it might mean. All I would say is the boxing man in me. If we didn't get Fury Usyk because of Ngannou, I would be writing Francis a letter saying, "Why did you kill that dream?"
This is all I want to say.
Why did you kill that dream for me, Francis?
I think people have been comparing Francis to a professional wrestler. I think that is pretty disrespectful. Francis is a world-class athlete. He's developed skills in MMA and he's progressed very quickly. He went from someone that had very little technical ability to someone that rematched Stipe Miocic and beat him. That's someone that then he moved on and fought Cyril Gane and beat him on the ground when people said that was his biggest weakness. He has shown that he can learn. He has shown that he is dedicated to the sport, and he's a phenomenal athlete. Do I think he's going to beat Fury? No. But do I think he's going to go in there and embarrass himself? I don't think so.
Whichever way it ends up, I don't think anyone can deny that it's got people talking, it's got us all debating, and
if I was a cartoon character, I'd have that question mark above.
But like it or lump it, they got me wanting to watch, and that is what happens with these crossover events. Thank you, the Three Musketeers, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're going straight off to the fight, so safe journeys and good to see you again. Kody, we'll see you soon, and you'll be back in a couple of weeks, Gary, I think.
Yeah, something's happening here. Something's happening.
You can feel it, right?
Something's happening here.
Sold, ladies and gentlemen. Pull out that credit card.
The first one I've ever paid for.
There you go.
My gosh.
Well, listen, enjoy it wherever you watch it. Thank you once again, all three of you. That's it for this week's Ringside Extra Toe to Toe. You can catch the fight on Saturday night.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.